Well, welcome everybody, distinguished guests, friends, family, all very welcome. It's not like me to be the centre of attention, and they've told me that for the last 365 days, so it's now time for me to depart this place. But I'm really pleased to see so many friends and family here to mark this particular occasion. I've got to do a few bits and pieces for the mechanics of it. Welcome to those that are viewing at home. Honorary Freeman, Aldermen, distinguished guests, Charter Trustees, ladies and gentlemen, I welcome everybody to this annual general meeting. You realise that I never write scripts for myself, but somebody else does. I hope you enjoy this occasion. I would like to advise you that this meeting is being recorded and will be available to view on our website for at least 6 months. Item 1 on the agenda is apologies. Honorary Clerk, please may we have apologies for any absence.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Apologies have been received from the following Charter Trustees: Councillor Olivia Brown, Councillor Simon Ball, Councillor John Challoner, Councillor David Dorton-Gibson, Councillor Jeff Hanna, Councillor Alistair Keddy, Councillor Karen Rampton, Councillor Chris Rigby, Councillor Joe Salmon and Councillor Kieran Wilson.
Thank you very much, Honorary Clerk. May I also ask you now to report on any declarations of interest which have been received?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. None have been received to date.
Right, now apparently I've got to read my report and deliver my speech, so I hope you're all buckled in, because I'm not sure if anybody took the time in the last time when I took over, so I plan to go a little bit to beat the record for the last time. So, firstly, it must be my thanks to my Deputy Mayor, Councillor Anne Filer, sat to my right, for all the support which she's given me as the Mayor during the year. She set a very high bar. I didn't have many duties when Anne was fulfilling the role the last year, but one. So a very high bar. Thank you very much for all your support, Anne. Really appreciate it. My thanks indeed to the civic team, because nobody can be a mayor alone. I have a neurodiversity, which means that I have a lack of executive administrative skills, and I don't have any time management. So it's absolutely wonderful to have people that will take all these appointments, remember the promises which I made, make sure that I get to where I'm supposed to get to at time. So a shout out, please, to Carolyn, to Cecilia, to Jeff, to Chris, to Mike, and to Carl, all of whom I've met during the course of the year. But we've also got some new mace bearers and mace bearers which have left us in the form of Warren and Willie. So it's been absolutely fantastic to have that degree of support from the civic team. And as I say, you honestly couldn't do this role without it, and have been invaluable to me to be the absolutely best mayor that I can be. Also invaluable to me to be the best mayor that I can be is my partner Alison, who's sat amongst you at the moment, simply because I've got to get totes the moose. Simply because you can't do this without a supportive partner behind you. And I really like the phrase which says, behind every great man, there is a woman rolling her eyes. So thank you, Alison, for ensuring that the eye rolls were appropriate at the time. I also want to thank my ward colleagues, because I found out just this morning, and a shout out to Cecilia, that apparently I managed to fulfil 206, or maybe 208, 206, we'll call it 208 engagements. I only found that out this morning because Cecilia, at all hours, works through these and keep me right, and also reminds me of people's names, because COVID managed to take some of my hearing and give me name blindness in exchange. But thank you very much, Cecilia, and it's very much obliged. So in that period of time of 208 engagements, my ward colleagues, Patrick, Eleanor, and Gillian, have quite happily shouldered, shall we say, the bulk of my work from the ward councillor perspective. But also thanks to each and every one of the Charter Trustees here today, and also in absenteeism, for giving me this opportunity to serve as the Bournemouth Mayor. You'll realise, of course, that I've given my full effort into being the Bournemouth Mayor to be the very best Mayor that I can be. When I started, what I wanted to do was recognise the charities and community groups that make Bournemouth such a great town, and without whom, if they stop their labours, the town and civilization and society would just collapse overnight. So it's one of those ones where I wanted to recognise those when I first came here a year ago. But it's been a year of firsts for me. So, and it's also been a year of firsts for the town. The mayorship of Bournemouth has been on the go for 135 years, and none of those previous mayors sort of realised that the best consort, e.g. companion on occasions, would be to have man's best friend. So I'm the first mayor of Bournemouth, possibly the first mayor in the UK, to actually have my dog as my official consort, Billy. Billy's no lightweight. Billy had to attend 5 engagements before I announced the fact that he was fit and able to be a consort to me. And I'm now at the point whereby at the end of my year, I go to engagements, and the first question which they have, the organisers and the people that are there, is, where's Billy? I've not got a complex about it, but I do have a slight complex about the fact that Billy got a shout-out in Parliament. So he was actually named in Hansard. So that was a first there. A first for me was becoming a scout. I had no intention of becoming a scout when I became the mayor, but there's a friend of mine in the audience called Nick, and I crack a funny because I wanted to get very closely involved with the Scouts. I crack a funny that I managed to dodge the draft for 48 years because you can become a Scout at the age of 10. And it was only by becoming the mayor of Bournemouth and taking the role really responsibly for our Scouts that I then became a Scout. So I'm very pleased with that. I also ran the first half marathon I ever ran as the mayor. So that was for Run Bournemouth and for one of my chosen charities, Dorset Cancer Care Foundation. I also ran my 100th park run with Billy, because Billy seems to get at a lot of these occasions. So I actually ran my first 100 park runs. But another first, I think, and quite personal to me, was that I took the opportunity in the last 3 or 4 months to visit as many of the primary schools in Bournemouth as I possibly could to share my journey having a neurodiversity. And it's one of the things which has really opened my eyes to the nature of inclusion and the nature of actually what we need to do for our youngsters. So it was, I found, very beneficial to speak to children and their classmates to actually say, well, we're all different in some way or another. We're all unique, and it's so important to be embracing of people that need to learn in a different way. And it's something which I didn't have as a child, but for me it was a first to open up and share that with the children of Bournemouth and the primary schools. So I really enjoyed doing that, and it would arguably be one of the highlights of my life, actually. Another big highlight is that you get gifts as the mayor. I didn't realise this. So you'll see one here, which I'm very pleased to receive. So this is a mayor bear. I think the likeness is quite striking, actually. But you get little thank you cards, etc. And I've got another honoured guest in the form of Isabella, and you might recognise her work here. But one of the gifts which I also received was the first full-size portrait of a mayor of Bournemouth for over 100 years. You might have seen that in the papers. And I've not got the hubris to do anything other than to gift that to the people of Bournemouth under the standing orders 1A of the Charter Trustees. So hopefully we'll discuss that at a later date. But that is the first full-size portrait of a mayor for over 100 years, and I'm gifting it to the people of Bournemouth. And with first and last, I think arguably, just on Sunday there, I believe that I'm the first mayor in full robes and chains to ride out of office on the back of a pillion motorcycle. And it was a really nice way to end my term of office by touring Bournemouth on the back of a motorcycle, smiling and waving to the people of Bournemouth. So that's a fantastic finish for my term. But for me, it's been a term of fun and inclusion. So I just want to wrap up now by saying that, just quoting from what I said when I first came into office, I will seek out the volunteers, the charities, the community organisations and the groups that add so much to our communities and lives. I'll highlight and amplify their efforts, dedication and service for recognition. I intend to throw myself fully into the role in every engagement, be it great or small. They will all have equal value to me, and I hope that I can add value to those who call upon the office of the Mayor for recognition. So I now step down knowing I did my best for the people of Bournemouth, and I look forward to supporting the Mayor-elect, Councillor Jackie Edwards, in the role, for me, of a lifetime. So thank you very much. Now, I did deliberate whether or not to take item 4 on the agenda, which is the election of the Mayor. But I will now seek nominations for the office of the Mayor. Councillor Stephen Bartlett.
I'm not sure how to follow that, but then our mayor is actually a thespian, and I can't compete with that, I'm afraid. Mr. Mayor, Bournemouth Charter Trustees, Alderman, Deputy Lieutenant of Dorset, honoured guests, and especially the young children that are here today. It is my privilege to propose Councillor Jackie Edwards as Mayor of Bournemouth for the 25-26 mayoral year. This will help if I have glasses on. Jackie, also known as Grannykins by her 2 grandchildren, Lily and Pierre, has been my ward colleague since we were elected to the Redhill and Northbourne ward in the Bournemouth Borough Council elections in 2015. Since then, we have become great friends. Indeed, members will be aware that we always sit together in the chamber, so it is understandable why colleagues might think of us as Mr. and Mrs. Redhill and Northbourne. Now, when talking to Jackie, you may detect a slight Midlands accent, so you may be surprised to learn that Jackie is in fact an Essex girl, having been born in Chelmsford. Jackie lived there until she was about 3 years old, but she never forgot her roots, and on her 40th birthday, she dressed appropriately. Stilettos, miniskirt, blonde wig, etc. She says she did this for a joke, but it was only because it was a fancy dress party. Now, that's what she says. You'll have to talk to her about that individually to find the truth. Jackie's father was a pioneer in computing, and his skills were very much sought after. This caused the family to move many times as Jackie was growing up. So at 3 years old, Jackie moved from Chelmsford to Lancashire, where her dad worked for Marconi. Then at 10 years old, she left Lancashire to move to Newcastle under Lyme, where only after a year the family moved again, this time to Singer Island in Florida, again for about a year, before then returning again to Newcastle under Lyme. I hope I'm getting all this stuff right, Jackie. 2 years later, they moved once again, this time to Bath, where Jackie went to Keynsham Grammar School. Being a bright child, she achieved excellent results. After grammar school, Jackie wanted to become a commercial airline pilot. But the costs of funding the training were just too much for her parents to bear. So instead, Jackie decided to pursue a career in teaching via North Worcester College, where she graduated with a Bachelor of Education degree with honours. Shortly after leaving college and having started her career in teaching, Jackie married Alan. But rather than continue with her career in teaching, Jackie and Alan decided to go into the leisure business. Their first venture was to manage the Grapevine Wine Bar in Devizes, Wiltshire. 2 years later, they purchased a restaurant in Bath called Le Jardin, which specialised in fish and game. You see, I knew that Jackie was posh. Whilst running the restaurant, they purchased a stone-built house at Bath Ford that needed extensive renovation. Apparently, working in the restaurant brought them into contact with celebrities, and one of these was the lead singer of Tears for Fears, Kurt Smith, who loaned them a flat in Bath until the renovations were completed. It's nice to have friends in high places, eh, Jackie? So later, the renovated house was extended to create a guest house, which, when completed, led them to sell the restaurant to focus on the new bed and breakfast business. It was during this busy period in Bath that Jackie and Alan's 2 children, Alexis and Jessica, were born. In 1993, after running the bed and breakfast business for several years, Jackie and Alan upped sticks and moved to sunny Bournemouth, where they purchased the Jervis Court Hotel, which ran until 2005, when Jackie and Alan decided to part, and the hotel was sold. Jackie then started her own bed and breakfast business at her home in Coach House Cottage in Bournemouth, which she ran up until 2023. So with the bed and breakfast space no longer needed, and being a glutton for punishment, Jackie is now busy with the extensive remodelling of her home. So as you can see, Jackie has led a very industrious and interesting life as a wife, mum, grandmother, business owner and counsellor. But despite this busy life, she has maintained her love of books and reading, and as well as seeking other interests, which has included several courses at adult education centres, including upholstery, stained glass making, creative writing, and last but not least, Turkish belly dancing. Now, regarding the latter, this is not propaganda, because I have witnessed Jackie doing her belly dancing, but I need to explain that this was not in public or in private, but it was on video. Now, regarding the creative writing, Jackie has written 3 books. The first, written in 2010, was about the history of Bournemouth, which she wrote after learning from counsellor Anne Filer that no such book existed. So when Anne suggested that Jackie might like to write one, that's exactly what Jackie did. When Anne this was then followed with a second book that explored why Bournemouth roads are given their names. Watching paint dry, that one, Jackie, I think. Most recently, Jackie wrote a brief history on Redhill and Northbourne, where she has served the community as a counsellor for over 10 years. Since her election in 2015, Jackie has served on many committees, including as Vice Chair of the Health and Adult Social Services Committee, the Overview and Scrutiny Committee, a member of the Tricura Executive Steering Group, the BCP Transformation Working Group, and she also represents BCP as a Director on BH Live Enterprises Limited. Outside of the council, Jackie served for several years as the Treasurer of the Bournemouth Area Hospitality Association, and she is currently the Treasurer for the North Bournemouth Crime Prevention Panel. And as if that isn't enough, Jackie is also School Governor at Kingsley School. So this is a history of Jackie's busy life thus far. But what is she like as a person? Now we get to the nitty-gritty bit. But I have to tell you, I didn't take my courage pill this morning, and so there are aspects where I've had to heavily edit the speech before I came here this morning. So don't worry, Jackie. So Jackie loves to travel and has visited many countries, including Cuba, Iceland, Cape Verde, Morocco, Greece, Gambia, Tunisia, Sweden, Turkey, Italy, Canada, Sri Lanka, the Caribbean, Russia, Thailand, Israel, etc. Are you getting the picture? Excuse me. Jackie just loves to travel. So Jackie also loves animals, but she hates snakes apparently. She detests them. Now, in a clue to her younger days, Jackie says she particularly likes Hell's Angels and speed. Now, I assume she meant fast and not the other sort. But if you wish to know more, again, you are going to have to ask her yourself. Jackie does have dislikes too, especially sports, and in particular skiing. She hates bad service in shops and restaurants. And for those of you that know Jackie well, we will know that she's not backwards in coming forwards to complain about poor service. When I jokingly once asked Jackie if she'd ever been to prison, she replied only once, but that she was still out on licence. But despite this criminal background, she has never received a parking or a speeding fine. So, from what I've told you about Jackie, you will recognise what an interesting person Jackie is. She has a really down-to-earth, no-nonsense approach to life. She knows what she wants, and she just gets on to achieve it. Now, as we all do, Jackie has had challenges in her life. More recently, in close succession, the very sad loss of her very elderly parents, shortly followed by a tree crashing through the roof of her home, which, had she been in bed at the time, would probably have killed her. Then very recently, serious personal medical challenges, which she has borne with great stoicism and fortitude. Jackie has a softer side to her personality, and those that know her well will tell you what a kind, considerate, thoughtful, generous, and loyal person she is. I can attest to all of these qualities. She is an inspiration, and I consider myself lucky to be able to call her my very dear friend. Jackie has served her ward and the residents of Bournemouth well over many years, and I have absolutely no doubt that she will make a wonderful mayor, a role that I know she will fulfil brilliantly. I therefore have no hesitation in proposing Jackie Edwards for Mayor of Bournemouth, and I wish her all good fortune throughout the year to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. I have so many questions. I have made notes for the Mayor-elect. Perhaps I'll take you up on your offer of questioning her shortly. May I ask for a seconder, please? Councillor Patrick Canavan.
Thank you, Chair. Mr Mayor, distinguished guests, it's my privilege to second the nomination for Councillor Jack Edwards to be the Mayor of Bournemouth for the forthcoming municipal year. I will probably not speak as long as Councillor Bartlett. I haven't known Jackie as long as him, but one of the many things that you discover on becoming a councillor is not only do you not know as much as you thought you did about local government, but actually you know very little about the other councillors that you sit alongside. So Stephen has mentioned Jackie's book, which he was kind enough to give me a copy of. And it's been really interesting for me to learn of her involvement with the Bournemouth Area Hospitality Association. And I also learned from Jackie that some years ago, Bournemouth produced a tourism guide. And in order for hotels to be included in the tourism guide, they had to be inspected. And that this inspection role was something that Jackie herself undertook. And I suspect that with others, Jackie probably regrets not only the loss of this guide, but also the loss of a dedicated tourism department within the council. As chair of Health and Adult Social Care Overview and Scrutiny Committee, I've been really fortunate enough to have Jackie as a member of that committee. However, this year, Jackie's chosen to abandon me and move to another committee. When I quizzed her about this, she said, well, she thought that having done 10 years and having been previously a chair of that committee, that it was probably enough and time to move on to pastures new. But I would like to thank Jackie for her valuable experience and insight into this area of scrutiny. She did tell me once that there's never anything new. It's only some things that change and are different. Finally, Mr. Mayor, one of the things that I think Jackie's book on the history of Bournemouth's hotels reveals is not only how much Bournemouth as a town has changed, and also how much the pattern of tourism has changed. But despite all of that, I think there is still optimism and a considerable pride in Bournemouth. And for those reasons and many others, I believe Jackie will make an excellent mayor, and I wish her an enjoyable and most successful year. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Councillor Canavan, and I share in that pride and that hope, and I do know that the Mayor-elect will take that forward gracefully and with experience and also great knowledge of what makes us such a great town. It calls upon me to just check in if there are any other nominations from the floor. Dramatic pause, and this happened to me last year, and we're all good. I put the motion that Councillor Jackie Edwards be elected Mayor of the Charter Trustees for Bournemouth for the ensuing municipal year. Those in favour? Any against? Any abstentions? I declare that motion carried, and I declare that the election of Councillor Jackie Edwards as Mayor of the Charter Trustees of Bournemouth for the ensuing municipal year. The Civic Party will now depart for a few minutes to allow the new Mayor to robe, and may I be the first to congratulate the Mayor of Bournemouth, Councillor Jackie Edwards.
Please be upstanding while the Civic Party leave the room. Distinguished guests, Charter Trustees, please be upstanding for the new Worshipful Mayor of Bournemouth.
I will now read and sign the Declaration of Acceptance of Office. I, Jackie Edwards, having been elected to the office of Mayor of the Charter Trustees for Bournemouth, declare that I take that office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties of it according to the best of my judgment and ability. Now's the bit you've all been waiting for, I'm sure, and that's my speech. I'd like to extend a warm welcome to honoured guests, fellow councillors, family and friends, and not forgetting the all-important civic team. I'd also like to take the opportunity to thank colleagues for proposing me as Mayor, and thanks to Steve and Patrick for their kind words. Steve was trying very hard to find out if I had any dark secrets, but any that I may or may not have will stay firmly with me. It is a great honour, and I'm really looking forward to going to the different organisations and schools and meeting the people of Bournemouth, and also welcoming people to the Mayor's Parlour. I also wish to thank George, as outgoing Mayor, for his clear affection, enthusiasm and hard work in the role. I know he's quite sad at coming to the end of his year as Mayor, but he'll be a wonderful Deputy Mayor, and I'm sure he'll have words of advice for me. I've been able to shadow George on a few mayoral visits, and thank you, George, for that. On a recent visit to a school, one of the most popular questions asked of him was, "How old are you?" George, being fearless, said, "How old do you think I am?" Not sure he expected the answer 90, but I was quite happy with mine, which was 50, especially as I'm 10 years older than George. Neither answers were correct, but it reminded me of the man who used to be by the pier in the 1990s, where he would guess your age for £1. I think, however, there is a certain time in your life, and that is when you are very young or very old, when you proudly tell everyone and anyone how old you are. I'm not quite there yet. Children do provide some of the most innocent questions and answers, and I'm looking forward to visiting our local schools to promote our town's heritage and traditions. As some of you may know, I do love history, so I shall give you a little bit of background to the Bournemouth mayors. Bournemouth became a borough in 1890, and the first mayor was expected to be James McWilliam. However, he was disqualified as he'd supervised the first election of councillors. Instead, Thomas Hankinson, a local estate agent and bookshop owner, took up office in November 1890. The first female mayor was Bessie Bicknell. She was a local hotelier and the 49th mayor from 1960 to 61. I will be the 111th mayor and the 15th female mayor, or 16th. I'm not sure, as Councillor Anne Filer has been mayor twice, but I'm probably 15th. Bournemouth's coat of arms was granted in 1891 and incorporated into the mayoral badge. The arms of Bournemouth on the mayoral badge are shown on a shield and a crest surrounded by a seaweed wreath above the motto Pulchritude et Salubritas, which I understand to be Latin and not Old Hampshire words for beauty and health. Bournemouth, of course, until 1974 was part of Hampshire. Bournemouth under Edward the Confessor was part of the manors of Christchurch and Holdenhurst. The gold and blue colouring on the mayoral badge are taken from Edward's arms, representing the sun and the sea. The martlets are the former indigenous San Martins, with the salmon indicating the mouth of the Bourne and River Stour. The golden rose represents Hampshire. The blue rose in the paws of the lions symbolise our gardens. In the early 1800s, local landowners planted thousands of pine trees, and they also have their place on the badge. I'll show you the badge. Continuing with my love of history, I've chosen the Bournemouth Natural Science Society and Museum as my charity. For those who have never been or even heard of it, you need to visit. It's a fascinating place. The Victorian villa on Christchurch Road, Eastcliff, was built in the Italianate style, made popular by Queen Victoria and Prince Albert's Osborne House. When Basildon, as it was called, was completed, the first owner, John Castles, a wealthy member of the Board of Improvement Commissioners for Bournemouth, only lived in it for 3 months, so it was rented out. One of those who lived there was Mrs. Isabella Fiennes, related to today's Ralph Ranulph and Joseph Fiennes. The Bournemouth Natural Science Society started in 1868 with a friend of Charles Darwin, Admiral Sullivan, calling to establish a museum to keep the locally found fossils in. The name by which it is known today was established in 1903, but it wasn't until 1920 when the Society bought and moved into Basildon. When you visit the museum, you can see a lot of what the Victorian house was like. The main exhibition room was formed from the lounge and dining room. Some of the former bedrooms upstairs house the specialist collections. You can find the Egyptian mummy Tahima, the 2007-year-old daughter of a high priest there. The geology collection is in part of the former servants' quarters downstairs. A couple of years ago, when I took my grandson there, he was very interested in the different stones and fossils. In the room where they sell a few souvenirs, he pointed out to the volunteer, the whole place is run by volunteers, that he thought £150 a bit expensive for a small stone. It's £1.50, she said. Always been logical, he pointed out there was no full stop between the 1 and the 5, therefore it read as being £150. Anyway, it's a wonderful place to visit, but you need to check opening times as they are limited. But I guarantee you and children alike will enjoy the visit. Sometimes they have live specimens, and the spiders I can put up with, but if they bring the snake out, I am off. It's free to visit, although donations are welcome. You may be also aware from Councillor Bartlett that I also love to travel whenever I get the opportunities. One of the countries I got to know quite well was Switzerland, where as a student I worked for 4 summer seasons in hotels in and around Interlaken. One of the places I explored was Lucerne, and I'm delighted that the Twinning Association still have links with this beautiful town. I've been told that the Bournemouth Rugby recently partnered with the rugby club in Lucerne. It's been quite a few years since either town officially visited one another to promote the business, social and cultural ties between us. Before anyone says anything, these visits are all self-funded. I just thought I'd get that out there. Anyway, after a market seller at Vienna's Christmas market laughed at my German, I vowed I wouldn't speak German again. Apparently, it wasn't what I said. It seems I have a very, very strong Swiss dialect. And no, I can't yodel. Come to think of it, then maybe they would understand my Schweizerdeutsch. Anyway, it'd be lovely to get involved in a twinning event again with Lucerne. You may wonder why this mayor making is being held in the BIC, but the council chambers are having a new audio system installed, and unfortunately it wouldn't be ready in time. I'd like to thank the staff at the BIC and the civic team for putting this together at such short notice. However, there is an advantage to being here, as lunch is being served in the lovely room behind this hall. I hope you all enjoy it. After today, the real work begins, and I already have quite a few engagements lined up out and about in Bournemouth. I do encourage you, if you know a school or volunteer organisation who hasn't visited Mayor's Parlour, to ask about coming to one of the regalia talks by the mace bearers. There's a lot of Bournemouth's mayoral history in that room, and I'll endeavour in my role to keep that tradition alive. I do hope all the councillors here today have had the opportunity to enjoy one of those talks. Likewise, if you know of any school or organisation who would like a visit from the Mayor, please do contact the Mayor's office. I'm not sure if a sweepstake was done for how long my speech would be, but anyone who said an hour, you were way out. And later on, all those that were staying for lunch, I hope you do enjoy it and enjoy that absolutely fabulous panorama of Bournemouth Beach out there. And on a day like today, it's such a hard, you just can't beat that view out there. So, thank you. We'll now take item 5 on the agenda, which is the election of Deputy Mayor. I will now seek nominations to the office of Deputy Mayor. And I would like, if we could just have a few words from the proposers, as apparently lunch is ready.
Thank you, Mayor, and may I be the second person to offer my congratulations, and I'm also looking forward greatly to you demonstrating some of the skills we've just heard about in speech. I'd like to propose George Farquhar as the Deputy Mayor for this year. I'm not going to say an awful lot for a few reasons. One is that I did propose him as Mayor last year and also as Deputy Mayor in the past, and I think I've said quite enough. But the main reason, I only realised I was volunteering to do this a few moments ago. One thing I would say, though, is that George did make a very adequate Mayor. Now, I'm using that word very carefully because in my family, the word adequate is actually high praise. To be adequate when you've got high standards is high praise. And so knowing you were made a very adequate Mayor, I think also you'll make a very adequate Deputy Mayor, and that's what we desperately need for a Deputy Mayor, is somebody who's adequate. So I propose George.
Is there a seconder? Councillor Eleanor Connolly.
Hi, happy to second George. I'll keep it brief. He's a fantastic ward colleague. I think he's been a wonderful mayor, and I think his infectious enthusiasm will be great to carry on as in the capacity as deputy mayor.
Thank you. Do we have any other nominations? Well, I can't see any hands raised, so that's all right, George. I put the motion that Councillor George Farquhar be appointed Deputy Mayor for the ensuing municipal year. Those in favour? Yeah. Any against? Any abstentions? Oh, that's carried then, thank you. I declare the election of Councillor George Farquhar as Deputy Mayor for the ensuing municipal year.
There's not enough pictures of me on the internet yet.
I now invite the Deputy Mayor to read and sign the Declaration of Acceptance of Office.
I, George Farquhar, having been elected to the office of Deputy Mayor of Bournemouth Charter Trustees, declare that I take the office upon myself, and I will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties of it according to the best of my judgment and ability. Signed with my hand on the 20th day of May 2025. Thank you for your faith and trust. You're all mugs.
Right, moving on to item 6 on the agenda, there's appointment of one representative and a substitute to the Association of Charter Trustees Towns. Can I seek nominations? Oh, that's a bit quick then, isn't it?
We'll try. We can stick on them later on. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll pick on you later. You can't escape.
Madam Mayor.
Oh, sorry. Yes. Councillor Northover.
Could I nominate Councillor Williams, please?
Those in favour?
There was a seconder.
Doesn't say no.
Is there a substitute as well?
Thank you. I'd like to second that nomination. Thank you.
Those in favour?
Yeah.
Any against? Any abstentions?
No, that's fine.
I think that's carried. I declare that Councillor Williams is appointed representative, and we just need a substitute now. Do I have anybody who will be a substitute? Oh, we'll decide that later. Okay, thank you. Moving on to item 7 on the agenda, appointment of budgetary signatories. Can I seek nominations? Is your daughter happy to nominate?
I'd like to nominate Councillor Stephen Bartlett as a budget signatory.
Have we got any seconders?
If I may second that for the chair.
Okay. Are there any other nominations?
I think Lawrence Williams. Is Lawrence Williams?
Is Lawrence, are you? Yeah.
Do you want to nominate?
I'll nominate Lawrence Williams.
Do you have a seconder?
Seconder?
Yeah, Councillor Farnham.
Councillor Adams? Yep, thank you. I now put the motion that Councillors Bartlett and Williams be appointed budget signatories for the ensuing municipal year. Those in favour? Any against?
No.
Any abstentions? No. That's carried. I declare that Councillors Bartlett and Williams be appointed budget signatories for the ensuing municipal year. I think I've said that. Anyway, item 8 on the agenda. Appointment of a Charter Trustee to undertake bank statement verifications. Can I seek a nomination? Councillor Adams.
Could I nominate Councillor Dwayne Farr to carry on in that important role?
Do we have a seconder?
Councillor Farnham.
I'll second that, Gillian
Okay.
Muns.
Thank you. Those in favour?
Yep.
Any abstentions? It's carried. I declare that Councillor Farr be appointed to undertake bank statement verifications for the ensuing municipal year. I'll now take item 9 on the agenda, attendance at meetings and requests for removal received. I'll hand over to the Honorary Clerk to present this item.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a very brief introduction. We've looked at the meeting attendance record and circulated that. We've had 2 requests to come off from the Charter Trust from the 2 councillors for the Alderney and Bourne Valley ward, of which only a minor part is actually in the Bournemouth Charter Trustees area, and that's a non-residential part. They've requested to leave the Charter Trustees. So you are asked to note the record and to approve the removal of Councillor Adrian Chapman-Law and Councillor Rachel Patterson-West as Charter Trustees of Bournemouth.
Those in favour?
Yep.
That's carried. We will now take item 10 on the agenda to agree the calendar of meetings. The Charter Trustees asked to consider the following arrangements for meetings in accordance with standing orders. June the 24th, 2025 at 6 p.m, 23rd of October 2025 at 6 p.m, 28th of January 2026 at 6 p.m, and 26th of May 2026 at 11:15. Those in favour? Any against? Any abstentions? No, that's carried. I declare that the Charter Trustees have agreed to the calendar of meetings in accordance with the standing orders. Charter Trustees, that concludes the business of the meeting, and thank you to our guests for coming to witness this special occasion. Please could you remain in your seats until the Civic Party have left the room.
Please be upstanding while the Civic Party retire.